Good evening, everyone. This is the Committee of Precinct Chairs on Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, 7:03 p.m. here at the Town Hall, Great Hall Meeting Room on Court Street in Plymouth. As we do every meeting, I'll call the roll to confirm a quorum between those that are in the room and also online. So we'll start with Precinct 1, absent. Precinct 2, myself, Matt Tavares. Precinct 3, let us know on Monday night they will be absent for a caucus their own fall town meeting caucus meeting. Precinct 4.
Charlie Beautrain, Precinct 4.
Precinct 5.
Mike Leary, Precinct 5.
Precinct 6.
Robert Freeland, Precinct 6.
Precinct 7.
Beth Gregg, Precinct 7.
Precinct 8.
Don Williams, Vice Chair, Precinct 8.
Precinct 9. Absent. Precinct 10.
Precinct 10, Alan Costello.
Precinct 11.
Precinct 11, Jeffrey Fosdick.
Precinct 12.
Pat Adelman.
Precinct 13.
Precinct 13, Ron Riley.
Precinct 14. Absent. Precinct 15.
Precinct 15, where it begins, Wrestling Brewster.
Precinct 16. Absent. Precinct 17.
Joe Hutchinson.
Precinct 18. Absent. So I believe we have 12. So that is a quorum. I'm just going to confirm with the clerk that I am correct.
Yes.
Yep, we have 12. So we can continue our business. That being said, if you'll all please stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. On our agenda next would be the approval of minutes. Unfortunately, Kristen wasn't able to get everything done in time, so we'll approve those minutes at our next meeting, probably along with these when she returns. So I'm just going to skip right along to the last of our meetings on the fall town meeting article review, and we are actually going to be starting with Article 6, and Select Board member Kevin Canty is here to discuss with us the establishment of the Land Acquisition Special Revenue Account. And I understand he has a presentation for us that you'll see up on the screen over here. So, Mr. Canty, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Varas. So, yes, this is about This is about annual town meeting, Article 6. It is in page 105 of your seasonally colored town meeting book, if you have that with you. It's relatively straightforward, but nevertheless, let us continue. So, from the outset, this is a proposal to create a special revenue account to capture certain funds and leverage them for the purposes of future open space, recreation, and municipal use purposes. However, just to get it out of the way, Article 6 is unrelated to the land bank proposal from fall annual town meeting 2024. So you could approve this or not approve this, and that would have no impact on the land bank or its operation if and when the land bank ever exists, since it's only passed one of 3 hurdles. It needed to be approved by town meeting, which it squeaked through. It needs to be approved by the state legislature, which is still in progress, and then it needs to be approved via an affirmative vote of the voters in a town-wide election. So the land bank does not currently exist and may never exist. TBD on that. Article 6 is also unrelated to the CPC, has no impact on the operation of the Community Preservation Committee or the CPA tax, so just keep that in mind as well. It would simply be a new tool in the toolbox to purchase land for these open space, recreation, or municipal use purposes, such as buying land for a fire station or a school, something like that. And town meeting would control any expenditures of funds from the special account that Article 6 would create. Town meeting controls the purse strings as the legislative branch of our government. So there are very few funds that are not controlled by town meeting, such as like the FinCom reserve account, things like that, which have different provisions, but the default is always town meeting controls it, and that default is what establishes this as well. So this is about collecting Chapter 61 rollback taxes. Chapter 61 rollback taxes are assessed if land enrolled in Chapter 61, 61A, or 61B changes use from within 5 years of its withdrawal from a Chapter 61 program. Chapter 61 is land and forestry status, 61A is agricultural, 61B is recreation. Rollback tax is the total difference between what was actually paid while in one of those chapter statuses and what would have been paid if the land was taxed quote-unquote normally, plus generally 5% interest per year. There are some situations where there's no interest on it based on a change in the law that took place in, I think, 2009, but for the most part, you're talking about 5% interest per year as well. So Chapter 61 funds have varied wildly over time. In the last 18 years, we have collected a cumulative total of 1.5 million and some change, $1,503,837.30. That averages out to about $83,000 annually, but as you can see from the chart, there are years where we have collected $236,646.06. Great year in fiscal year 2022 for that. In fiscal year 2016, $272,844.64. And then in fiscal year 2014, $376,325.27. So there's a few good years in terms of acquiring revenue from it. But then there's years like fiscal year 2019 where we only got $357.80. So, you know, it's all over the shop, averages out to that 83,000 amount. And, you know, if part of the impetus for this was what happened with the Atlantic Country Club property down in South Plymouth, we are concerned that as the town approaches build-out over the next 15 years or so, particularly in areas like South Plymouth, where you have 3-acre zoning, and it would be easier to accumulate multiple parcels and build larger developments because you'd have fewer people you'd need to buy from to get a large enough piece of land, that there is going to be an increased incentive to take land out of Chapter 61 status to develop it for some other purpose. So we want this account to be in existence to capture that money if and when that outcome occurs. So currently, these rollback taxes are not, they're deposited into the general fund, but because they were never accounted for in the budgetary process, because we had no way of predicting what would come out, because as you could see from the previous slide, the numbers are all over the place, they just flow into free cash at the fiscal year's end. So basically, these are going directly into the couch cushions, and then at the end of the year, we're coming around with the free cash vacuum and picking up the change. Because we can't account for it in funding our police department or our schools and paving our roads or anything like that. So it's undesignated fund that goes into the general fund and then flows into free cash. Often it's used for capital items as part of the free cash pool, but Article 6 would create a fund to capture these specific funds, preserve them for future open space, recreation, or municipal use needs. So that is my presentation. I am available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Canty, for that very straightforward and succinct presentation. As we have been doing with all the other articles, it wasn't broken out this way on the agenda, but I'm going to entertain comments and questions from the COPC. And then once we're kind of complete, I'll open it up to public comment as we go through each article. It seems to have worked fairly well, and if I feel the public comment article is relevant to our discussion, I may ask you to respond. I know that's not typical to public comment, but in this forum, I think it helps us all.
I'll go with the flow.
Right. So first, I'd like to open this up to the Committee of Precinct Chairs, and I see Mr. Williams, and if you would like to go ahead. Yep.
Kevin, I'm wondering who's going to be in charge of making the decisions, other than the actual spending decisions in this group. And the reason I'm asking that, and as I'm sure you know, is I'm interested in the transparency aspect of this. I think many of us are in agreement that transparency is important and that we're going in the right direction there.
Right.
And this seems to be going in a different direction, unless you can disavow me of that.
Sure. Well, so it would be a fund that's available in the panoply of funds that the towns has for these designated purposes. Generally speaking, the town would be the one that would initiate. They would say, hey, we want to build a fire station over here. There's some money in this fund to contribute to the land purchase. Because if you look at the money, you're not going to be, even if we had this for 18 years, $1.5 million could have been like a down payment on Atlantic Country Club, but it would not have paid for a $19 million parcel. There are some years where there's going to be almost no money coming into it, as you can see, some years worth a decent amount. But generally speaking, it would be used for town purposes, whether that be something like you could have the Open Space Committee request to use it because they don't have a funding source and they do open space related work. You could have a town department like David Gould's department looking for that, or the fire department if they were to build a fire station looking for that. But it is a fund that's available, so technically you could have a citizen's petition that seeks to appropriate money out of it and initiates it. It's money that's there and available, and the legislative branch has to authorize expenditures from it, but anyone that puts an article on the warrant technically could tap into it with town meeting's approval, of course. So it's really just it's as transparent, well, this might be a unfavorable comparison, but it's as transparent as our budgetary process. So whatever your opinion on that is.
Probably as complex.
Any follow-up, Mr. Williams, or not yet? Okay, that is fair enough. Any other questions from Mr. Costello?
Yes, Mr. Canty, the slide that's on the wall at this time, does that reflect the rollback that Atlantic Country Club had kicked back when they were starting the process of getting that land out of 61A earlier this year?
Yeah, so no, it doesn't.
And how much was that? That was quite a large sum, wasn't it?
What?
Mr. Hardman?
Lee Hartman, Director of Planning and Development. That never went through, so they withdraw their offer. So there's no rollback or no payback penalty at all at this point for Atlantic Country.
So that piece of land is still in 61?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they didn't renew it. It's coming out of 61 on July 1st of this year. That's coming up.
So this is where it starts to get real complicated too, because if they don't renew it, they don't get a rollback either.
Well, they will if they change the use within 5 years. So it's 61 is complicated, in short. However, so they didn't renew it. So in July 1st of 2026, it's no longer going to be in Chapter 61 status. However, as a prior slide indicated, if it changes its use within 5 years of coming out, then you have to pay rollback taxes at that point. So
What's change of use? Like if it becomes not a
golf
club?
Yeah, right now it's recreation.
So even if they come out of 61 but remain golf operations,
yes,
they wouldn't be.
then they'll pay full taxes starting in July 1st of 2026.
Okay.
And as long as they stay at that level for 5 years, they would pay no rollback penalty. They'd just pay regular taxes for a 5-year period. If they, in 2 years, were to go out of, let's just say for sake of argument, were to change it into a housing development, then they'd have to pay some rollback taxes. So it's that 5-year window on the way out.
Mr.
Just
Costello,
a couple
did you-
follow-ups.
Yes,
So
yeah, go ahead.
hypothetically, whether they exercise it or don't exercise, what ballpark, what was the dollar amount that line item would have seen?
I don't have that number. I can get it, but I don't have that
Okay.
because it didn't come to pass.
All right, then, I guess how I feel about this, contrary to your first slide, it may not have anything to do with the proposed land bank or even CPC, but if all three go through, that's three separate accounts the town would have that they get to put towards parcels of land if they come up for use. I think that's over and above what the town needs. Why wouldn't the taxpayer get that money kicked back and put towards things that happen yearly? Why do we have to have three standalone accounts for potential that a parcel of land may come up?
Sure. So, I mean, some years the taxpayer is only losing out on $357.80 spread out among 65,000 human beings. So,
That's 1 year.
correct.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you
Right.
1 year.
There are other years where it's not. But because of the unpredictable nature of it, it's really going into free cash and then going into, which
But my
is
point is,
primarily used for,
if all three of them, and one of them is in existence,
one
if all
is,
three eventually get into an existence,
Yep.
that would be three standalone accounts that the town would have for basically the same purposes.
so the
And-
town doesn't have, I would say the town doesn't have CPC. It's not it's an independent authority that has to approve expenditures from itself. So you, like, as a town meeting member, if the CPC doesn't want to fund something, even town meeting can't force them to fund it. CPC has to say yes first.
All right, so maybe I'm using the word town too loosely, but
Okay.
the administration has three
No.
separate, potentially three separate.
The administration doesn't control the CPC, and specifically, the administration does not control the land bank, because that was key to its design and structure.
Well-
So this would be actually the only one that the town administration would directly
Well, the
control.
residents of Plymouth would have at their disposal three
It would be.
accounts.
It would
My
be.
point.
It would
And
be
that's
three
why I think it's
accounts
overkill.
in the
That's why I
town.
don't think.
Okay.
I think it's redundant. That's something we don't need. That's why I'm surprised, quite honestly. But
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting to learn about it. But I think you have to take that into account, that there could potentially be three standalone accounts doing basically the same thing.
Well, I guess whether it's excessive or not would be really dependent on how you feel about growth in the community, particularly in some of the more rural areas, which are going to see an explosion in growth over the next 15 years if we don't do anything about it. So we would like to do something about it. Up where I live in Precinct 1, we've got quarter-acre zoning in a lot of places, pre-existing non-conforming lots. Down in precincts 12, 16, 17, outside of your Red Brooks and your Pine Hills, you've got a lot of 3-acre zoning down there. And I think that, people like myself that moved into the urban area of North Plymouth have a different expectation and experience than somebody that moved into and has spent a lot of their time living in South Plymouth, which has a rural character. And I know that a lot of people in South Plymouth are concerned about private entities making development decisions that affect that quality of life that they built for themselves and for their families.
That
And
could
if
be.
we don't do something like this, we will be hard-pressed to adjust to that. So the land bank may or may not ever exist. CPC does exist, but as has been a matter of public discussion recently, currently has a lot of authorized spending at the moment from pre-existing projects. This is not going to solve the problem in and of itself. I mean, the total amount that's going to flow into it is small enough that it's just going to be able to largely be used for down payments on some things. But it will contribute, it will help, and it will leverage growth towards solutions to that growth, which is what people have been looking for. As more land comes out of Chapter 61 status, more money will flow into this account, if it's created, and as more money flows into this account, it can then be used for more open space, more recreation, and more municipal use as growth drives demand on the services, and would lower the cost for taxpayers by having a leveraged account that's already designated for that purpose.
Well, excuse me, I don't 100% agree with that, but I appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Mr. Brewster and then Mr. Williams.
I see where you're going, Alan, but, and I'm always of, no new taxes. This is something that's already coming in.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So we're already getting this money, and it's going into free cash, which is the deep, dark hole that I hate.
Yes.
So I am always of the ilk, anything that we can stop going into free cash, this is money that's already coming in. And it's being filtered to free cash, which the taxpayer never sees and never gets to decide where it goes. So what I see this doing is taking something that we're already getting. So it's not a new tax. It's not taking money from somewhere else. It's already coming in, and all it's doing is flowing it to a fund that can be used. Everybody is always concerned when we have these funds or these committees that get to decide where money goes. Town meeting gets to decide where this goes.
Yes.
So Kevin, what you're telling me is this money's already coming in.
Correct.
It's already a tax.
Correct.
And if it, right now, if we don't do anything, it goes into free cash, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So this seems to me like a good way of stopping something going into free cash, which is the deep dark hole that we never see and never get to decide on.
Yes, and that a
Thank you.
lot of people are coming at for various purposes, whereas this is leveraging it for designated purposes, yes. Related to how the money is coming into the fund, too.
Free cash, fast.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
I like free cash.
Well, I like
It's-
the concept.
It's a buffer. But my question is this, the CPC is a similar type of an arrangement, but the CPC has a certain amount of money that they set aside for administrative purposes.
Yep.
If we formalize this free cash, I'll say that 3 times fast. If we formalize pre-free
Cash.
I'm not going to go there. Won't we have to have somebody to look after this fund?
No, it can be managed by
administer
the finance department can look over like they do all the other funds.
So that's one more thing for the finance department to do, all right? But it's
would
not more taxes, presumably.
Correct. Correct.
But we already have why not throw this money into CPC?
Well, it's
Then
not.
it's taxed, all right? Why do we need it? I go along with Alan on this one. I don't
Sure.
think we need a separate administrative function to do this, because people are going to come up with wonderful things to spend on this free cash, and maybe not so wonderful ones, but we've got a lot of people working on money here, and I don't think we need another person that's going to have to take care of this.
You wouldn't need it. It wouldn't be another person that needs to take care of it. It would just be.
Sooner or later, there would be.
No, there's never going to be enough money in this account to warrant a staff member spending any considerable amount of time.
So why are we creating an entity around it?
We're not. We're just creating all you're creating is an account.
Okay.
You're just creating an account. That's it. It's like a drawer. You're putting another drawer in a cabinet.
Why do you have to create an account?
Well, because that's how accounts are made. So right now it goes into the general fund because it's tax revenue, but it's not designated, it's not appropriated by town meeting for a specific purpose, like to fund the police department, for example, or the schools, right? Because it was unexpected money that we didn't know was going to came in during the year, and then it goes temporarily into the general fund, but then right when the year ends on June 30th, on July 1st, it hits free cash because it was not appropriated for a specific use. And then the next year, free cash is used for one-time expenses often, like a project or a capital expense, like buying police cruisers, things of that nature. There's a lot of other sources that populate free cash already. This is not a major driver of free cash revenue in the community. Our budget annually at this point is up to $325 million, and this over an 18-year period has generated $1.5 million. So small potatoes in the grand scheme of things, but is a way to more accurately track the money that's coming in Chapter 61 for town meeting, and then to leverage that money to address growth as it continues, particularly in the southern parts of town, where growth is going to continue to occur. Atlantic Country Club was the first, but it will not be the last. And we are concerned about it because we were able to maneuver with Atlantic Country Club and prevent that development, but we may not always be successful in that. So we want more tools in the toolbox to manage and regulate growth and deal with its challenges.
What is this going to specifically prevent again? I know you mentioned it. Could you go through that argument again?
Sure. So as the town continues to reach build-out, land itself is going to become more precious. Land is the only thing they're not making any more of. So this account leverages the money that's coming in, flowing into free cash and going to just generalized capital items into land acquisition for beneficial purposes, be that open space, like a walking trail, be that recreation, like a park, or be that a municipal use like a new fire station, that we need to build the land for it because we need to build a new fire station in areas of the town where more people live now.
So it's not only going into buying up more land for the town. So why is it called a land bank? It could be called a fire station bank.
Well, it's not a land bank. This is not the land bank. This is separate. So this is unrelated to the land bank. The land bank does not exist, may never exist. If it exists, great. If it doesn't exist, unfortunate. This is just an account, like the environmental affairs account that like David Gould's office uses. That's it. And like David Gould would be able to use this for some of his projects. So would like Nick Fiella in Parks, and so would Neil Foley over at the fire department as needed. It's just an account. That's okay.
No, let's,
Understanding is part of the battle.
so I had Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Freeland, then Mr. Riley. Mr. Hutchinson is all set, so go ahead.
Do you know of any other municipalities that are doing something similar?
I don't know specifically in relation to this, but sort of these bespoke accounts are kind of common through home rule. Like about 10 years ago, we passed the environmental affairs account to leverage 50% of the money coming in from solar pilots to be used for environmental purposes. We have a lot of other a lot of them are revolving accounts and stuff. I don't know of one specifically, another municipality that specifically has created a Chapter 61 account, but yeah.
And is this something that would need state approval?
It would. It would be you're petitioning the general court, but they would, be a home rule petition. So we would send it off to our state delegation and they would get it passed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Riley?
Thank you. Just a quick question. You're mentioning about Atlantic as an example, but isn't it after they've been using for more than 5 years that they wouldn't have to pay it once they come out?
Yeah, well, if you take it out, so Atlantic is coming out on July 1st.
So technically, they owe nothing, July 1st.
They owe
They've already been more than 5 years.
They owe regular taxes. So July 2nd is their first, full day, I guess, of paying regular taxes, right? And if they do that for 5 years and keep it as a golf course or just walk away from it and let weeds grow, in that situation, then they'll only pay regular taxes on the land for that 5-year period. And then the first day of year 6, they could sell it to a residential property developer and they would not pay rollback taxes. But generally speaking, a lot of these developments are coming out for the purpose of being developed, like was the plan with Atlantic, and is often the plan with a lot of these other larger parcels.
So July 2nd of this year, they come out, they can't sell it on July 2nd where they've already been...
They'd have to pay 5 years of back taxes, if they did. So within the 5 years, you have to pay back taxes. Every year you get away from it, you have to pay less.
So you're never exempt. It's always the last 5 years you have to pay.
If you are within a 5-year window of leaving Chapter 61, you have to pay some rollback taxes. If you are 6 years or more away from the last time you were in Chapter 61, you do not need to pay rollback taxes.
Okay, all right.
So it's a
I get
five-year,
it.
you get, but something like Atlantic, 61 is not a great deal for a municipality in a lot of ways. It's an idea that was created to incentivize certain uses by the state, agriculture, recreation, forestry. However, something like Atlantic, that was in Chapter 61 status for many, many, many years, a lot more than 5 years, and they paid reduced taxes for that whole time. So then their only penalty is the right of first refusal period, and then the rollback taxes, but the rollback taxes compared to their cumulative savings are minuscule.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why it's not really a deterrent to taking the land out for development purposes. That's a state statute. We can't do anything directly about that. But while it exists, we can leverage the money to have it available for town use.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Before I get to Mr. Brewster, I just wanted to note that Christopher Hool from Precinct 14 as vice chair has joined us online. So he joined us at 7:19, and that's mainly for Kristen when she's taking her minutes later on. Mr. Brewster.
Just a rant on free cash. It is the biggest misnomer in the history of all economics. It's not free, and it goes into the deep dark hole of the general fund. So it can be used for anything. So the town has a pot, and free cash is money that wasn't spent, usually taxes, that goes into that pot. So it can be used for anything. And I just want to make sure everybody understands what free cash means. If this doesn't pass, all of that money goes into free cash. So the town can do, it's a little more technical than this, but they can do anything they want with that money. If this gets passed, town meeting has some say in where that money goes. So that's the difference between if this isn't passed and if this is passed. Just want everybody to know about free cash and where it goes. Thank you.
Ms. Gregg.
That may have actually answered my question, but it has to do with what is the role of town meeting were this to be passed? Is
Sure.
it every year there's an allocation of funds that,
No.
Okay.
No, so the money will trickle into the account whenever a property comes out, either comes out and changes use or changes use within 5 years. That money will sit in that account, and then it will only be taken out of that account if somebody puts something before town meeting for a use of it. So for example, say that the first year, let's imagine, for example, that we had it starting in fiscal year 2024. So in fiscal year 2024, $71,655.68 would have went into that account. Not a lot, but it's not nothing. But it's the first year of the account. They don't know how much is going to come in, and they don't have enough, there's no project they want. So then they wait another year. The next year, 27,000 more. So now they're up to about $100,000 in the account. And then Atlantic Country Club came online, and let's say that went a different way than it did. We would have had that 100,000 plus, depending on where we were in the year, some of that 12,500 to put towards that account. If we had a special town meeting to buy Atlantic Country Club, we could have said, well, we want to make Atlantic Country Club a municipal golf course, so we'll keep the recreation restriction on it, and we'll use this $100,000 as a down payment plus other. We're not going to be able to buy the whole thing with it, but it's a down payment amount. So it would only come out when a project or use is designated, either by a town department or division, or a citizen's petition that said they'd like to turn this bog over here in West Plymouth into a recreation area, for example. So it would only come out when there's a project or land purchase warranting it. It would be an article at town meeting. You're welcome.
Any further? Mr. Williams.
It doesn't seem to me that there's a whole lot of difference between free cash and a fund like this. I mean, you can spend this on practically anything also.
No, you can't. You can only spend this
What
on,
can't you spend it on?
you can only spend it on open space, recreation, or municipal land purchase for like a fire station or something like that. You can't use it, like, you can use free cash to buy police cruisers. You can use free cash to fund an employee for a year if you don't care about how you're going to pay for them next year. But you can use free cash for any legal purpose that the town spends money on. This is only one of 3 designated purposes.
Just to define it more, free cash is in the budget, town hall gets to decide where that money goes. This, town meeting gets to decide where the money goes.
Mr. Leary?
Well, we keep on going back and forth. If you read the language, it's land acquisition.
Yeah.
So it's strictly for land. When you're making your presentation, you had said if a use, I think people are getting kind of on that use thing, but it's only for land acquisition.
Yes.
And it is, again, when all these properties comes up, let's face it, the town hasn't got the money to do it. Without grants, everything else, this gives you a chance to put some money towards grants to extend it to a larger point. I mean, there's no question, it's a good way of doing it. You're keeping it with land. This is, payback on the land, and basically, I think it's a good use of it.
Yeah, it's money that's coming to the town from land, and it's leveraged to go towards land.
I'm going to ask a question that I don't know if you have the answer to or not, so
Let's find out.
We'll try. So how many, I have no idea, approximately how many properties do we think we have in Chapter 61 within Plymouth?
I have no idea.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what,
I don't have the
and
answer
that's,
to that. Yeah.
where I'm going with that is, that's where my concern lies.
There's a lot.
Right.
So, but a lot of them are tiny. So there's like some of them are like quarters of an acre in and of themselves. And like the land use and acquisition, if you want to get a sense of how many there are, if you look at like the minutes of the land use and acquisition committee over a course of a year, you'll see all these parcels that come on. Some of them are random times, they're random areas, and they're random sizes. Atlantic Country Club is 176 acres. That's a big nut. But, another one is Holtec. Holtec's in 61 status, 1,530.35 acres in Chapter 61 status. So that's going to either come out in whole or in part at some point, and it would be nice to be able to buy that land if we could. As you may know, I have some interest in that. You could, potentially. Yeah, so but when those little ones come out that we don't have any use for, we could just take the money and put it in there. And then when a bigger one comes out, we can use the little guys to pay for parts of the bigger guy.
And that's where I was trying to go with that.
Yes.
So thank you very much. There's a great unknown out there, so
Yes.
this is a good vehicle to reel that in a little bit.
Yes.
Any further questions from the COPC chairs or vice chairs? Seeing none, I will open it up to anyone here in attendance or online for any public comment. We don't have any public online, so, yeah. Just, I know who you are, but state your name for the record, Al. Thank you.
How you doing? Al Gennaro, Precinct 17. Yeah, I want the public to know that, they hear less taxes for 61, but, this time of year, we all visit these farms. All those farms are under Chapter 61. The purpose of that for farming was to preserve this the last 40 years so that they're not developed. So now we're getting the other side of this. The town of Plymouth, we all pay an excise tax on our vehicles, and that money is segregated for the roads. So that's really all this is. It's a line on an accounting sheet. Instead of here, it's going there and allocated specifically for something. I'm supporting this. It makes sense. It's going really back to where it came from. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment from, Mr. Williams?
I
Go ahead.
apologize for my confusion, but now I see the light.
Thank you. I appreciate the humility, Mr. Williams, so thank you very much. We could all use a little bit of that at times, so I appreciate that. Any further questions from the public or comments? Not seeing any. Thank you, Mr. Canty. I appreciate you taking the time and coming to the COPC this evening. I know that there are other caucuses going on this evening, and you probably have a lot to cover in the next few weeks, so best of luck.
Thank you, appreciate it. Happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving along, we are going to get into Article 13, the appropriation of funds for water pollution abatement facility projects. And joining us this evening is the Director of Planning and Development, Mr. Hartman. Mr. Hartman, thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome, and the floor is now yours.
Thank you. So this is the 17th time we've done this. We've gone to town meeting 17 times for this, this request. This year, we're asking for $400,000 to use from we borrow it from the State Department of Environmental Protection's revolving fund. We borrow it at 2%. We make it available to residents at 5%. It's been very successful program that we have that we've done. So these loans that we make available, so we again borrow it at 2, we make it available at 5. The 3% difference is the money we use to cover the costs for the borrowing and the administrative costs. We make loans available of up to about $35,000 to homeowners. What we're finding right now is that the expense for everything, septic systems included, is getting very, very expensive. So we are seeing this summer alone, we've used about $450,000 of the money town meeting has already authorized this year for this program. So that's why we're coming back to get another $400,000. We still have about $430,000 left, but because it went so quickly, we want to get the next slug of money authorized so that it's ready and available when we need it. And again, what this is for is if you have a failed septic system, so that means that your septic system is bubbling up or not functioning properly, you're having it pumped regularly. So this is for people who don't have $35,000 in cash to go ahead and get their system upgraded. What happens is once you borrow this money, once you request this money, so you would come to Office of Community Development, we'd work out a program with you. The assessment is put on your tax bill. So oftentimes people are saying, well, what about bad credit? What about bankruptcies? What about those things? None of those things we have to worry about because it is just added to your tax bill, which is good because if you have a failed septic system and you happen to be a family who's struggling, maybe has bad credit, and you can't get conventional financing, the goal here is to protect the environment. So the money is here and it's something that we can use, and the town is protected because it's something that's put on the tax bill. So I think the only other thing I wanted to point out is to date we've helped about 328 families with this program, and so it's been very important. And again, this is an environmental issue, not necessarily an economic one, and getting money available to homeowners who have failed septic systems who need to repair them. So again, we hope that you will support this request. Really no cost to the town because of the 3% that comes to us to cover our costs. And again, very successful, very high demand for this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. I know a number of us sitting here have heard this, but we do have some new members, so I want to make sure I entertain any questions, and it's going to come from some of the veterans. So there you go. So I'm going to, since Mr. Williams, you've had a few questions this evening, I'm going to start with Mrs. Adelman first, and then Mr. Williams.
Did you say $3,500? That's the cost?
$35,000
Oh, $35,000.
for a septic system.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago you were in the 20 to 25,000, but like everything else now, it's gone up, and we're finding the average repair cost is $35,000.
And what does it cost to tie in to the town's septic if it's
I'm not sure what the
available?
cost is, but there's very limited. Only about 10% of the town is on town sewer. 90% of it is on septic systems. So certainly, so if you happen to be lucky enough to have a sewer line in front of your house and you're on a septic, there aren't many of those, but if you are there and your septic system fails, this program will pay for the hookup costs to the sewer too. So it'll be connection to the sewer as well as repairs to a septic system.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Lee, how many septic systems are there in Plymouth?
Oh, I mean, you
Well,
could have
I'm
asked
just-
me this afternoon, and I could have come up with a number, but on the fly, we have
A wild guess.
25,000 houses in the town. If we say 10% of the town is sewered, so
So how many?
20,000?
How many homes with failed septic systems with 400,000?
I have no idea. I mean, again, if I had a little warning, I could have checked to see
Reason
what
I'm
they have.
asking another seemingly stupid question is because we are looking at, there's a group in the town that you know of, the CWTP, that is looking at putting in a plan for getting people hooked up to sewer. And if there were a program available for that coming down the line, I'm just wondering whether that has been thought about.
Again, so I know they have that master plan. I've been involved in some of those meetings. It does get a little iffy, so that if you run a sewer line down Long Pond Road, we have now no justification for low-density zoning. So there's a balance between providing sewage, which will actually maybe increase development versus providing it. A good example is if you look at Manmit, or if you look at some of the Six Ponds areas that are already developed, those are great areas to provide sewer. But if you have undeveloped areas or low-density development areas, and now you run a sewer line down, that has big implications for the community. So we have to look at all those things. But again, this is really just right now for those systems that are failed in the town.
Thanks for the education.
Any further questions? Yep.
I'm just curious, sorry.
I didn't see your hand. I didn't see in your hand, Mr. Vautrain, so we'll start down there and then come back
I
this way.
may be
Mr.
asking an obvious question, but I'm assuming if the receiver of this loan, this passes on with the property if they sell their
No,
property?
no. So just like any other, they have to pay their taxes. So, no, this would be, so if you go to sell your property, this
Yeah.
would be then
It's a tax
paid
lien.
back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeland. Sorry about that, Mr. Vautrain, go
No
ahead.
problem. I'm just curious, is the hospital on sewer?
Yes,
or-
it is.
It is, okay. Does it go beyond the hospital, heading up
So it goes, so it ends at the hospital heading down
Sandwich?
Sandwich Street, and it ends at JB's Corner. So for example, Plymouth Patuxent Museum is not on.
Not on it, okay, thank you.
Any further questions from any members of the COPC?
So I'm always ready for the unexpected question, but you got me this time on a couple
know.
I wasn't ready for.
I was trying to get Mr. Canty earlier, so I guess it was your turn this time. Not seeing any further questions within the room or online, I'll open up to any public comment within the room. And not seeing any, I'll give Mr. Hartman a minute here as he adjusts his presentations, because he'll be joining us for the next article, which will be Article 14, Plymouth zoning bylaw, Section 206.6, multifamily overlay district, and to amend the official zoning map, which I know all of you received some documentation on that, but you've also hopefully received your books by now. Mr. Hartman, when you're ready, the floor is yours for Article 14.
Thank you. So if you recall, last April town meeting, the town approved MBTA law to bring us in compliance with the state's MBTA or multifamily zoning requirements. So it's a mandatory requirement. I'm sure many people have heard about this issue in other communities that have dealt with this. And the state has made it clear that you must have this zoning in place. And if you fail to do it, there will be legal and economic implications for the community. So what the law does and requires, and this is what we did last time, we went through a very long process where you look at different sites and you have all different types of things you must meet by their law, and they have a compliance model. So they give you this compliance model and they say, you look at the sites you're going to do, and this model will tell you whether you comply with the law or not. So we did that, and we had 4 places we brought to town meeting. And what we did is took credit for areas already developed. So we weren't looking to rezone new areas. And again, this is a zoning that allows for multifamily by right, 15 units per acre. And so what we said is, in Plymouth, where we've had so much growth, let's take credit for growth already occurred. So we superimposed it over Cordish Park, over the Sawyer Reach area, which is by Colony Place, the residential there, the Oasis 40B off of Home Depot Road, and the multifamily at the Pine Hills. So we went through, and it said that we were in compliance, but the model, there's another compliance piece that they have in their regs that's not in the model that said at least half of the zoning you do has to be contiguous. And that was not in the model, and the consultants we used missed that requirement. And so a year later, the state came back to us, and it took them a year from when we submitted our compliance to say, well, you missed this 50% rule. We would like you to go back to town meeting and change the boundaries to comply. So what we're proposing is we have the Westwood Village. So this is Colony Place. And so if you look now, this is the existing zone right now. The recently approved Canso project is right here. This is Sawyer's Reach. Then the walk, this is the Walk 40B called now, I think, Hanover. So this is Dick's Sporting Goods over here. This is the Walmart car dealerships here. So we're looking to add Westwood Village, which is a 55 and older community, already permitted, subject to a special permit. They couldn't use this overlay zoning even if they wanted to. We're looking to add that and looking to remove sections of where the Pine Hill is. So Pine Hills zoning already approved at town meeting and looking to rescind the approval for the piece right here. This is the Brizzuto piece. This is the common at the Pine Hills. And then some of the multifamily right across from the market. So we're making one a little smaller, one a little bigger, so that the one that we have at Colony Place is 50% of the total area of our district. We met with the association directors at Westwood Village and then had a neighborhood meeting with them also to let them know that we were doing this, and there was no objection. I would actually say it's one of the few meetings I went to where they actually applauded when I left. Very uncommon. And just to remind you, so just to remind everybody too, if we're not in compliance, we face legal challenges, and we will not be eligible for a number of different grants. We did this last year. These are the grants that they say we would not be competitive for. And then this is just an example from last time of some of the grants we worked for. So in the end, we make one bigger, we make one smaller, and there's really very little change to it, and has really no impact. It's the same as last time where we're taking credit for what was already zoned or already developed for multifamily. I would also point out that now for maybe the third year in a row, I'll take it. I've been scolded for our definition of family. And so you'll also see in the written language that the state and the ACLU is requiring us to change our definition of family. So we have a very, I don't know what you would call it, but a new definition for family that is very broad and meets kind of the new definitions of laws. And then there's just one other text change in the bylaw that just basically says that no special permits are required if you were to use this district. So those are the other two text changes. And that's what we're doing.
Okay. I appreciate that you got applause at that other meeting, but be very wary of if you get any applause at town meeting or from this committee. So I would open this up to any questions or comments from anyone here within the room or online that's a member of the Committee of Precinct Chairs. Seeing or hearing none and having no questions, you can take that as applause.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Mr. Hartman, for taking your time this evening and coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll see you on the 18th. Next, we have, just to update, we originally had on the agenda Article 15, the tax title property transfer. Just so you know, that when the Open Space Committee was doing their due diligence on this article, they discovered that one of the tax title properties lot numbers was transposed. So they're going to be pulling this article from town meeting. So that'll save you one thing to discuss during your caucuses. And they're going to be revisiting and just resubmitting it in the spring town meeting, so you can plan for that. Okay. Moving on next, I know we were to have Love Howard here from the Plymouth Stewardship Alliance. I have never met you in person, so I apologize for not picking you up right from my site. This is in regards to Article 25, which is the citizens petition zoning bylaw amendment, and putting a temporary moratorium on earth removal. Love is here to give us a little bit of an update as to where that stands. Most of us, I'm sure, are within the know and kind of been following along, but I think it's good to get it out in the open and in a public meeting format. The recommendation that's coming to town meeting at this moment is for no motion, no action. And this came from the petitioners appearing before the Finance Committee and also the Select Board requesting that there'd be no action taken. But Love, if you'd like to take the podium, I'll give you the floor to kind of give us an update. There's been a lot of moving pieces, including this past Tuesday at the Select Board as well, and I know we have two people here from the Select Board, so we can ping questions off them. They didn't know that was coming, but go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. The Plymouth Stewardship Alliance, also known as the PSA, is a relatively new network of conservation-minded citizen leaders. Our membership brings decades of knowledge of environmental issues that both currently and potentially have great impact on the town of Plymouth. In response to hearing fierce public outcry over large-scale sand mining, the PSA used the citizen petition process to put warrant Article 25 on our upcoming fall meeting docket, as you all know. If passed, this would have enacted an 11-month moratorium on commercial sand mining. We're talking about the large sand mining like we're seeing at 71 Hedges Pond Road and 10 Collins Avenue. The moratorium was to give the community time to catch our breath while we took a look at and reworked our sand and gravel bylaws. As we moved forward with Article 25, we received both strong support from the community, outrageous strong support from the community, and concern from the town planning department, who argued that the article could possibly negatively affect all development in town. That was not our intention. So after a series of meetings with planning officials, the PSA agreed to recommend no motion, no action on warrant Article 25, in exchange for which the town would agree to prioritize the reestablishment of the Sand and Gravel Bylaw Review Committee to rewrite the bylaws and ensure bylaw enforcement to prevent commercial sand mining. The cooperative effort began in earnest last week when town officials and the PSA met to begin the process of defining the scope and the cost of this process. And Tuesday night, we received unanimous support for this collaboration from the Select Board. We thank the town very much for their fast action and for moving this cooperative plan forward. And so given this collaboration, we recommend no motion, no action on warrant 25. And we do hope to keep you posted as things develop. They're developing quite rapidly. So there are a number of us from the PSA and from the Select Board here tonight and planning, and we'd love to entertain whatever questions you have.
Sure. So I will open the floor up to questions from the Committee of Precinct Chairs, and I will allow a little bit of public comment, but Mr. Hartman, did you have something you would like to add to begin with this? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Hartman.
So one of the things as we talked about this, and not to talk about the merits of the moratorium itself, was that to actually do something properly, to look at the bylaw, we need to have science and legal advice. So what we're really talking about is going to future town meeting for funding so that whatever consulting group, whatever committee is created, they have professionals with them. So I think that's really important. And Mr. Donato does have a motion that he's going to make at this town meeting to appropriate $75,000 towards that type of work. Now, we don't have an idea yet of what that number is, but $75,000, if we want to go sooner than later, is a good amount of money to start that process. The trouble we have, I'm retiring soon. We have 2 vacancies. The one planning position is vacant right now, and then once I retire, there'll be a second vacant position. So there's not a lot of staff support to be able to support this. So having technical expertise beyond what we have, hydrologists, soil scientists, attorneys, is going to be important. And having the resources of those people to help the committee through this process will be important too. So as we go to this town meeting, looking at the motion for the $75,000, I think, again, I'm not quite sure in my head, although $35,000 for a septic system strikes me as crazy. 75 sounds like a really good number for supporting this committee. So hopefully that has some legs at town meeting, and then if we find out that it's more than that when we go through the process, we can look to supplement that in April. And then certainly if it's less than that, we don't need to spend it all. Your authorization is a maximum, not a minimum, so.
Because your name was brought up, Mr. DiNardo, do you feel at this point you want to speak to that potential motion, or you're not ready, which is fine? For those off mic, Mr. DiNardo said that he was hoping that people will support that. Okay. I am also going to add on to this that throughout this process, I have been, while the chair of the planning board has reached out to me, I did pay attention to, as I usually do, the Tuesday night select board meeting, and the way that this committee formation is looking to be done would be 3 members appointed by the planning board, 3 members appointed by the select board, and then 3 members appointed by this body, the Committee of Precinct Chairs. That being said, I believe, and the select board can correct me if I'm wrong, and the planning board I know is meeting next Wednesday to set up their timeline. What we would need to do is we would need to open up an application period to accept these applications, give us a little bit of time to review them, and then make an appointment of 3 members. The timeline that the select board has sort of put forward, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if they were to go through this on Tuesday night, the opening period, I believe, was October 9th. It would be advertised on the website and put out there for people to apply to be appointed through the select board. I'm assuming the planning board is looking to do around the same time frame, but I'm not sure. I would agree that the COPC at the same time could also advertise on October 9th, which is a week from this evening, that we would be looking for applicants. The applicants through the select board have been, or the suggestion of what we're looking for in qualifications, and I would agree with the select board and actually with the planning board on this is, and I'm not going to be able to name off every criteria, but we would be looking for people with legal land use backgrounds writing bylaws, agricultural background. We can put all sorts of parameters on it, but that would be, and it can also be just open to the general public, because at the end of the day, it's our appointment, and this committee is empowered to do and appoint who they see fit. That being said, when you look at the appointments, no one from the planning board is appointing anyone within the planning board. No one from the select board is appointing anyone within the select board. And I would agree with that, the Committee of Precinct Chairs, there should be no one that sits on the Committee of Precinct Chairs appointed to this committee. And that would include vice chairs. And the reason why I say that is we have the long-standing tradition of chairs and vice chairs interchanging themselves within this committee and voting on things. So if that's the tradition we want to keep, then we need to also respect the fact that we shouldn't have members appointing members of this committee to a committee that we want to be somewhat independent from us. That's my recommendation. I would sit here and ask, that the COPC think about this for a minute. And before we discuss that a little further, I just wanted to give that piece of the update to the whole process. And at this point, I'd like to open up any questions, either for Love or the select board or myself or the petitioners. I see a couple of petitioners sitting in here this evening. In regards to Article 25 and where it stands, and I have Ms. Allen and Mrs. Gregg. Yep.
I was going to make a motion to open up the application.
Okay.
But
I'd like to go through any questions regarding Article 25 first, and then when we open up the motion for opening up an application, we'll need a second, and then we can have discussion. So if there are any questions regarding that specific piece, we can do that during discussion. All right, so are there any questions as to how this process stands at the moment and where the article stands within town meeting? Hearing and seeing none here or online, I'd open it up to public comment as well. Anyone in the room or online wishing to speak or comment on Article 25? Hearing and seeing none, now I'll turn the floor to you, Mrs. Adelman. Go ahead.
motion that the COPC open up the application process.
Second?
So I have a motion on the floor to open up an application process. Could we, if you're willing, amend that to opening that up on October 9th?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Brewster, are you still good with that?
Yes.
So now we will have discussion. So we will have a discussion on opening up and I guess say opening up, but advertising within the town website and the town means for applications and people to go online, just like they do any other committee. They go online, they read about it, decide whether to input. Most of them do it right on the website now, as advanced as the websites become. Are there any questions regarding opening that, or this motion, opening this on October 9th? Mr. Williams?
Is there going to be a deadline for submission?
It would be 30 days. So that would roughly, I'm not counting out everything, but you'd have it 11, we'd have applicants, call it 11/9, which I know is a Sunday, but it'd be 30 days, we would have those, then that would allow us, the reason why I chose the 9th is it allows us just about a week or so underneath it before our meeting where we could have these people in, so we could digest their applications. Mrs. Allen?
I think Beth was first.
Sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So it's a question about criteria. Does this person, or do these people, must they be registered to vote in Plymouth, or can they be part-time residents of Plymouth?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Mr. Canty, if you could help with that. I mean, I assume that they would need to be residents, but I will defer to you if you don't mind.
Sure. There's no technical requirement that you are a resident to serve on a town committee. There's generally a preference. The select board appoints to most boards and committees. There's a preference certainly for residents, but we do have some people that have served like on the harbor committee in the past that don't live in town but do have like a business interest or marine interest in the community. Or we've had people that do some other type of work in the area, and it makes sense. So that's kind of the exception and not the rule. But you could have a non-resident, it would be odd, that a non-resident would be very interested in our earth removal bylaw, but it could happen.
Right.
It'd be up to you guys.
I guess to answer your question is, yes, it could be. It's up to the committee as to whether we decide, who we decide, say we get 12 applicants, who we decide out of that committee.
The application form would indicate where they reside.
Correct.
So you'd know that somebody was not a resident in considering their qualifications and candidacy.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Are there any further questions or, any further discussion? Ms. Adelman.
So
And then Mr. Costello, I'm sorry.
do we have to come up with the criteria before October 9th? Or how are we going to advertise if we don't have a criteria?
So our criteria is going to be along the line, we don't have to have, when you open this up, the criteria, it's not like a job application.
Okay.
I'm just suggesting that when we look at people that come to us, because I believe that as town meeting members, we're a good cross-reference of the town in a whole. All of us bring various different backgrounds. But when this opens up, I would suggest that, and this is my own personal opinion, that when we're looking at these different applicants that come in, it's great just to have a very concerned citizen, but also if they have any legal land use background or writing bylaws background or, I can't think of the other things I mentioned, maybe agricultural background, it would be good to have that as a piece of their, call it interview process.
So
Right, it's more criteria, when I say criteria, I guess I should mean when we're vetting it, but we're over 30 days removed from that.
So it's a preference, not a criteria.
And that's my personal preference at this point, so. You may have a completely different point of view on preference, so. Mr. Costello?
Just quickly, What pool of candidates are we going to pull from? Do they have to be just town meeting members, the remaining 126, or anyone at large in the
You could
community?
have someone apply to be appointed by the select board, the planning board, or the COPC, and they could try their shot at all three.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be a town meeting
Okay.
member.
I didn't know if there was designated pools between the three
No.
committees, but.
There's 9
So it's gonna
positions
be-
open, and it could be that all 3 committees receive the same applications, and it's whoever gets to vote them in first, fills their 3. But it does not have to be a town meeting member.
And as far as the requirements, are there any at-large citizens, or does everyone have to have a title or a expertise or an experience?
Again, that is the preference of the committee here when we're interviewing.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have, all right, thank you.
And again, this is all moving very quickly, so if I do receive any other information, I'll make sure it gets out to everybody here on the committee of precinct chairs. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, there is a motion on the floor for the COPC to open up the portal to accept applications to sit on the Sand and Gravel Committee, and to open that on October 9th, which would be a week from today. It'd be a 30-day period, so call it roughly November 9th is when that would close. I'm going to call the roll since we are in a hybrid format. And Ms. Allen, if you'll just keep the tally with Kristen being absent, that would be great. Precinct 1, absent. Precinct 2, yes. Precinct 3, absent. Precinct 4,
Yes.
Precinct 5,
Abstain.
Precinct 6,
Yes.
Precinct 7,
Yes.
Precinct 8,
Yes.
Precinct 9, absent. Precinct 10,
Precinct 10, yes.
Precinct 11,
Yes.
Precinct 12,
Yes.
Precinct 13,
Yes.
Precinct 14, Christopher, you're online?
Abstain.
Abstain. Precinct 15,
Yes.
Precinct 16, absent. Precinct 17,
Yes.
and Precinct 18 is absent. I believe that passes, correct, Pat?
Yes.
Okay. And I just would like to thank the petitioners. This is one of those moments, rare moments, where I think we see town meeting articles come before us, and there's feedback given throughout the process, which is why we have the process we have between FinCom, ourselves, and all the other different committees, where they listened to the feedback, accepted the feedback, and then worked collaboratively with the town and also with ourselves as town meeting members. And that's huge. It's rare, and especially rare in the last number of years. And so I commend you for doing that, taking a step back, saying, okay, we'll take a look at it. Let's work together and get something done. I love the collaborative process, so congratulations on that. So I appreciate that. So, yeah. Love, I'll give you.
Thank you to all of you for your support and for the departments.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Watch out who we appoint. All right. That being said, we're moving on to any old business before the Committee of Precinct Chairs that happened between Monday and today. Seeing none, is there any new business that would like to be brought before? Ms. Adelman?
It's a comment. Is this the appropriate time?
Sure.
Last night, Precinct 12 had their caucus meeting. It was held jointly with the Cedarville Steering Committee. And I just want to thank everybody who came, the Select Board, town staff, the attendees, and all the presenters, because it went very well. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Pat. Great to hear it. Thank you so much. Any further new business? Just going to remind everyone that, if you haven't received your books, you should get them shortly. I mean, I think I got mine the day after it was mailed. And if you don't receive that, please reach out to me. I'll help make sure that that gets coordinated to you or any of your town meeting members. I know you're all entering into the caucus season, or if not already in the caucus season. That being said, since we have gone through the articles that were brought up for attention to myself that we wanted to hear from, I'm not planning on holding a meeting on Thursday, October 16th here. It's 2 days before town meeting. I'll give you that night to do your crunch for the exam, reading through the book. All right. That being said, is there any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. All right. Did you have a comment?
You confused me. You said when we were talking about putting together the criteria for the committee, you used the 9th. And when are we going to vote on that?
We're just opening for the applications on the 9th.
And you said it's on about 7 days before our next meeting to act on it. Can you cancel that meeting now having said that? Am I confusing the meetings?
Understand what I was saying.
Yeah.
So we are opening applications on the 9th. There's a 30-day window to receive applications. So you're talking about 11/9 or 11/9 is when that would close.
Right.
Our meeting is on the 20th of November. So that gives us about 7 days to review any applications that we got in.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Remotion to close.
Seconded. Motion adjourn, or meeting adjourned at 8:18 PM. Thank you all.